Howdy y'all, this is Texas Gaming Industries here, and welcome back to another episode of Railway Empire. In the previous episode, we began expanding further into the Midwest, such as connecting to Sioux Falls, Kansas City, St. Louis, and Minneapolis, as well as building up their industries. And in this episode, we're going to hopefully extend a little bit farther west, to Denver, and possibly to San Antonio and Houston. So let's get started with the construction, shall we? We'll add a train station here in Denver. And by the way, I also forgot to mention that I was planning to connect this logging camp to my railroad. Like so. There we go. Now, a train of logs can easily travel from here to Nashville, and then down south to either Indianapolis or Chicago. Wait, not south, north, basically. We'll put the dragon on this one. Put a Philadelphia class on this. And I don't think I need anywhere else to operate a long train, because Chicago's getting longs already. So, now that we basically started connecting to the West Coast, we're almost about to reach California. Hopefully, we might be able to get there before 1869, which, by then, it would be the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. We'll connect the two track nodes at Sioux Falls up to Denver, which, surprisingly, was not on the one of the original stops on the original Transcontinental Railroad on the Union Pacific side. They never actually connected to Denver. Or maybe they had, I'm not so sure. But in the tutorial you have to connect to them. You basically connect to Denver. If you basically know that, please tell me in the comments. I really don't like getting my railroad facts wrong. And at the same time, we could extend the track from here all the way to Kansas City. Now you might have noticed something. See that little orange circle? That means my tracks are too close to an Indian reservation. Because if I build my tracks here, I'll have to pay the Indians to move out of the area. If I don't, I could basically face problems with them in the future. I mean, there were times where I haven't been able to pay them, and nothing bad happens. As you can probably guess from the intro for Railway Empire, that was basically the case. They would start attacking your trains. But, in reality, they don't. Odd. Anyway. Since our tracks are not super close to the reservation, the Indians can just do whatever they need to do, and let my trains pass by uninterrupted. Plus, Denver is basically a good spot for industry. We can convert the industry here to producing beer, which could then be delivered to Kansas City. And at the same time, we'll also build a station here in Oklahoma City for easier rail connections to Kansas City and south to, well, eastward to Memphis. Jeez, I feel like my sense of direction is off in this episode. We'll pass by the grain farm to make it easier for the connection to be made, and we'll build a bridge over the river. We'll connect these two towns. We'll connect it like this. Ooh, crumbs, forgot about that. A little bit of an editing job, and now we got Oklahoma City in the operational area. Place down the signals of the bridge. This will prevent the train from going off into the river in case the bridge gets swept away, as there are little trigger ropes underneath that will set the signals to danger in case of the bridge collapses. Or, in the case of a tunnel, it caves in. servicing facility down here, at a repair shop here in Oklahoma City, as well as one in Denver. And now we'll connect the grain farm to the main line. We'll build a double track station so grain trains can travel to Oklahoma City. Connect. And connect. Perfect. We'll operate a train north towards Robinson Manor and get some beer being produced ahead of time. And we'll operate trains south towards Oklahoma City. We'll operate a passenger train between Denver to Oklahoma City first. And the conductor, Stoker, which will give my conductor a passenger bonus because he likes him. What kind of train runs for this? St. Louis to Kansas City. Ooh, this engine needs a repair facility ASAP. We'll operate a train from Kansas City to Sioux Falls. Passenger at the 4-foot All-American. Assign the freight train. Switch at the Mogul. And then add a passenger train from Kansas City to Denver. And do another one for a passenger train from Kansas City, from Sioux Falls to Denver. When the city of Sioux Falls gets big enough, we'll basically start producing cotton nearby. No, not cotton. Producing textiles or cloth so it can be delivered to Denver. But Denver needs to have a population of 30,500 residents in order for them to actually have that commodity available. These two track nodes will be used for the Pacific for this extension, as the end of the line on that line will be Seattle, Washington. And at the same time, I might as well want to expand the tracks down south a bit. What I'm saying is, we'll basically start our southern transcontinental section down here, connecting the line between New Orleans to Houston, Texas. Servicing facility. Some signals. Let's fix these signals up a bit. They don't look that good, especially on the bridge because there's no side. Because the bridge is not wide enough for signals. I mean, if the bridges were wide enough for signals, I wouldn't mind putting them on there. Put down a repair facility and change the ticket prices on these lines. Perfect. We'll also extend this section round the curve past the grain farm and then connect it straight into Kansas City. And again, I messed up on the track nodes. Fan-bloody-tastic. Connect. Place down the signals here. Connect them here. Connect them here. And we'll start operating a passenger train from Kansas City, well, starting in Oklahoma City ending in Kansas City. The 440 American will be in charge of the service. We've got a new engineer. That's for speed. 46 stations connected by rail, which is nice. With the Mogul on the service from Oklahoma City, the Denver to Oklahoma City freight operations. We haven't produced a whole bunch of beer yet. That's because we just built a level 1 industry. But now that it's leveled up, it will produce a little more. We also have enough for 2 new types of rail cars, the reefer car and the caboose. I think the caboose will basically be what I want to unlock next. Now, a caboose will increase an employee's bonus by 20%. So let's have a look at an example. Here's a Pittsburgh freight train. Let's put the engineer up there. As you can see, his speed bonus is 5%. It will make this train go at 44 miles an hour. But if I add a caboose, I get a little extra. So in 44 miles an hour, it will go at 45 miles an hour. This is basically useful, especially on some of the later locomotives, such as, well, later freight locomotives that don't have a great amount of speed. Especially when the main line gets more and more busy. Ooh, a sander reduces consumption of water. Sand will be given 10%. Yes, I need that. Makes down support cabooses for every freight train will basically have a caboose. Freight, caboose, passenger. Oh! Didn't realize there was something like that. Caboose, caboose, caboose. 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 Since I started in the 1830s, I do not get a caboose automatically. I'll basically have to... This will be the same later on for the refrigeration car. But don't worry, when I get that, I'll cut that section out so you don't have to see me go through all these trains. And I think that's it. That's every single freight train. Every train carrying freight on the line. Nashville is pleased as punch. It seems like we're doing a good job of supplying the city with cargo. 60% of demands filled. 60%. Ooh, 68%. And we have a city big enough for a new industry. Well, there's a fruit farm up there. And we could deliver sugar and produce some liquor. That'll be good in some of this, but Nashville is producing liquor already. But it will be good later on for some cities around here, like Indianapolis, later on getting a big city big enough for liquor. And we also have a new tap completed. It's owned 17 rural industries and businesses. Very nice. We'll build a track over the main line between Toledo and Minneapolis, but I don't really like that tunnel. The problem with the tunnel is that the trains will have to go slowly on the climb back up. So, I'll basically replace it with a crossing, and add some signals to prevent a train from crashing into one on the main line. And the 51 Dragon will handle this particular command. Well, particular cargo. We'll add a conductor and a security guard. No other new employees just yet. And we'll put them on the service between Kansas City and Denver. Speed bonus, moving that to a freight locomotive. Sioux Falls grows. Nice. We'll buy that industry, grow it so it will produce more beer for the local residents. Oh, I haven't even operated a train between Indianapolis and Sioux Falls. Jeez. I really need to get into the game of operating passenger and freight trains between each city each time I connect to one. And I didn't even have a locomotive to set up to deliver corn to Minneapolis. It won to Sioux Falls. I need to work on this so badly in the next episode. Basically, add a Philadelphia for this locomotive. The service, we'll put it there. And for the passenger service, we'll put in this. And we can now unlock a new locomotive. The Tyson 10-wheeler. An upgraded variant of the 440. It's not as fast as the Rodgers 440, but it does have a good amount of power. Since this line is super short, we'll just assign the Tyson 10-wheeler to it, and assign a speed bonus to this train. Now, I said that speed bonuses are going to the freight trains, but this is an exception since the Tyson 10-wheeler should be a lot faster than a 440, but carries more payload, but, well, it's the developers who basically chose on which stats the locomotives get. Plus, I also want to expand this line this way, so people can have a chance to travel from the south to another section of the country, the Midwest, without traveling far north through Chicago. We'll build over the river. Hang on. Ah, yes. Because if I didn't connect that, then I would have had some trouble. Build it up there. Connect that here. And now we got ourselves a much better connection between Oklahoma City. Oh, there we go. The signals were set in the wrong direction. Build over, and then eventually replace the signals out here. Put them in there. The thing about this, the bigger your company gets, the more stress it will put on you. I know that feeling, especially since I'm trying to basically make sure every city has a good amount of industries, as well as a reliable passenger and freight operation between said cities as well. Speaking of which, we'll start our new transcontinental passenger train, well, the southern variant of the transcontinental line, between Houston and New Orleans. Unfortunately, in the south, there's hardly any grain farms, so most of these cities will have to rely on cattle. But I was thinking later on I could turn Odessa into a town making textiles, or cloth, and then bring it down towards Houston to be made into clothes, and delivered to New Orleans once it gets big enough. Speaking of which, there's one commodity that the city doesn't have, and that's good old quality American beer. We'll have to build a loop line around it. But that's not too difficult. I mean, I could just simply do this. Build a bridge over that, then go over the river, and then join onto the line here. And at the same time, it will give us a much easier rail connection to a nearby milk farm. Well, not milk farm, a dairy farm. Because I believe Nashville is now big enough to support dairy products. I mean, it has to be big enough to support dairy products because it's 93,000 residents. And there's no dairy products at all. No milk, no eggs, nothing. We'll add this. And then, basically, operate a train to Nashville. The Dragon will handle this service. And I think that will basically do it for now. So, if you like this episode of Railway Empire, please be sure to like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Texas Gaming Industries for future content uploaded every Friday. I just want to say thank you for watching, and hope you have a happy 4th of July. Bye!